Hi everyone, this is Jill and I'm a creative designer for Paper Sweeties, and I am back to do part 2 of our video demonstrating how to dress Abigail in an outfit. So we left off and we had die cut and colored Abigail. Here she is right here. And we also had die cut and colored up, stamped and colored up her outfit, and then hand cut it out with scissors. Currently there are not dies for the clothing for the Paper Sweeties dolls. The idea is that it's kind of like playing with paper dolls when you're a kid. And so you actually get to cut out, stamp and cut out the little pieces to dress the dolls with. And so we had already gone ahead and cut those out, and off camera I went ahead and cut out the little boots. And remember, you can make these into skates or boots depending on how you want to use the stamp set. And again, this is the stamp set. It's called Let It Snow. And here, let me grab the back to this to make it easier for you to see it. So this is the stamp set that I used to dress her with. And it's called Let It Snow, and the little boots can also be ice skates if you want to do a scene of her ice skating. So for the purposes of my card today, I'm just using them as boots. And I want to show you how you go about dressing Abigail once you have everything cut out. So usually what I like to do after I have colored and hand cut everything out is, when you cut a piece of paper, it leaves a white line. You can see the outside of the paper. So I like to take whatever color I stamped in, and this time I happen to stamp in brown, and I just take the tip of the marker and I just like to go around the outside to cover up that white edge. And it just gives it ends up giving the die cut a little bit of a more finished look. And so I hope I'm in frame here. Again, it's hard for me to see what I'm doing on camera and also work at the same time. So anyone that films tutorial videos, you struggle with that sometimes. But anyway, you just go around your die cut with your marker, which is the same color as what you stamped in, and you just want to edge, go ahead and edge that, get rid of that white edge from the paper where you cut it. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm just kind of going around and edging, getting rid of that white edge. And normally if you're coloring with Copics, you could use a Copic marker, but any black or brown marker, sometimes one with a smaller tip is a little bit easier to handle when you're doing this type of close work. So you need to sometimes test out which marker feels best for you for processes like this. But I don't know if you can see the kind of tip. There's the tip that I'm using. And I'm just using a friction color marker that I got off of Amazon to do this in brown, and I have another one that's in black. And that's usually the only two colors I usually end up stamping in, are either black or brown. Sometimes craft, and then you can use, you know, a lighter color. But anyway, so you just want to do that. You can bend the arms up to get onto the inside of the arms. The paper is pretty flexible and pretty forgiving, so that you can color the inside of the arms too. But you just want to do that to the best of your ability. It just helps to make it look a little bit more finished, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do these little boots, and then the next step, after you have everything edged around to get rid of that white edge, is you want to go ahead and glue the little pieces of clothing that you've made onto the die cut of Abigail that you created. So sometimes when you're adding the shoes, you may find that it's easier to closely trim around Abigail's feet before adding the shoes, so that her feet don't show outside of the space of the shoes. And you'll see what I mean in a moment when I show you these boots. Just going to finish that top edge a little bit better. Okay, I think I got it all. So now we've got everything colored. And let me find the lid to my marker. I don't know what I did with it. There it is. Okay. So again, this is a Frixion, F-R-I-X-I-O-N colors marker. But again, you can use any marker that you're comfortable with. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually glue down the clothes onto her. Okay. And you can see, oops, there we go, that they'll fit very nicely on the die cut there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I usually put the glue onto her. And I don't put very, I would go kind of light on the glue at first. And then you can slide the clothing around until you get it exactly where you want it. Make sure you have it in place and that everything is lined up nicely, especially her hands. Okay. Alright, so there's her coat. And then we'll add her hat. And I'm just, again, putting a little bit of glue on the back of the hat. And I'm going to put it on at a little bit of an angle. Okay. And then we have her shoes. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky sometimes, because I like to cut up into the center of her feet here and actually get rid of the little triangle of paper. And this is just a personal preference for me. I just like to trim up and have it look more like she has separate feet. So the die cuts in a certain amount, but I like to actually take my scissors and go in and just trim out this little triangle. And it only takes a second. And then sometimes I'll cut along the bottom of the foot too. And that's just because I want the boots to fit and not have that outer rim show. And they will fit perfectly then. And then it also makes it look more like her feet are separate. So that's just a personal preference. Okay, so then we're going to glue those in place. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of each of the die cuts. And this is just really like playing with paper dolls. So there's her first little boot. And you want to hold them in place a little bit till they dry. You don't want to lose the little pieces. And then we'll put a little bit more glue on this one. And then glue that one in place. Okay, so they're nice and even. Alright, so she's all dressed and she looks so cute. Okay, and then to finish the card, I just wanted to show you some of the products that I use to create a scene on the card. I use this Thanks Snow Much stamp set, and I used the die cut right here, which is this snow. And you could stamp the snow on, but for the purposes of what I'm doing here today, I'm not actually going to stamp the little outline that's in the stamp set right here. You can stamp that onto the snow if you want, but for what I'm doing today, I'm not going to do that. So I just die cut that snowbank, and then I also stamped and die cut from the Wagon add-on Snowballs for Sale. I die cut, stamped and cut out the Snowballs for Sale sign and the snowballs. Okay. And so I've just created a little scene here, and Abigail is selling some snowballs, and then I have the little snowbank that is going to go down at the bottom. And then to create the background, I actually just found a piece of pattern paper that had some snowflakes on it up here in the corner and also down here. And I thought this was the perfect paper to kind of go with and offset her pink outfit. And then I also just die cut a scalloped rectangle panel. So, and then this cardstock, the pink, kind of matches her outfit. So to put the card together, I'm just going to layer these pieces. And when I assemble my card, a lot of people like to use tapes or whatever. I tend to use glue when I assemble a card, and the only reason is because I don't like my cards to ever come apart, and sometimes when you use the tapes, some of them anyway, eventually after a long time they start to lose their stickiness. So I tend to use glue when I'm assembling a card, but whatever your preference is, sometimes it's better to assemble it with removable tape first until you're sure of where everything's going to go. And then you can always add the glue after the fact. So I'm just going to layer this on here and try and get it evenly on the card. And then I have my little snowbank. And we'll glue that. I'm just going to glue the bottom edge of this so that I can tuck the snowballs down inside. So this is going to go down here at the bottom, like that. Okay. And then I have my little snowballs, which I'm going to tuck here. And then I don't know if I want that to go on top or underneath. Let's see. Let's see what we think. We're going to put Abigail there. I might want that to kind of go on top and the snowballs to go under a little bit, like that. So then you can use some dimensionals so that Abigail is standing up from the back of the card. So I'm going to put her on some dimensionals. Oops. And you might need to cut some thin pieces for down by her feet so that they are standing up too. So I'm just going to put some tinier pieces down here. Oops. So that her feet have some dimensional adhesive also. And I'm going to put that little piece there. And that way she'll stand up from the back of the card a little bit. So we'll place her, and she's going to be standing in the snow. And then we can put the sign also up on some dimensionals because we're going to have it kind of stand on top of the snowbank that we've already got laid down there. So I'm going to just add two little pieces here to the sides of the snowbank so that it doesn't fall. Okay. So we'll take the backs off of those. Thanks for your patience while I do all this. But this will make this kind of stand up a little bit. We'll put that right at the edge of the card there. And then we've got her little snowballs, which I'm trying to decide, do we want this? I think I do want them in back. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here, and then I'm going to slide them so that they're partially under there. Okay, so it says snowballs for sale, 5 cents. And I actually want to move her over just a smidge so that her arm isn't quite so close to that sign. There we go. So you want to be able to play with your placement a little bit, so don't press down firmly until you're sure of where you have everything on your card. Okay, and then you could add an additional sentiment up here. I was thinking about either doing Winter Wonderland from the Let It Snow stamp set, or Baby It's Cold Outside, or Your Snow Special. But I think I don't know if I want to do it right now. I think I'm going to hold off until I decide what I'm going to use this card for. I might use it for a winter birthday. And so sometimes it's nice to have cards in your stash that you haven't added a sentiment to, because it allows you the flexibility to add a sentiment when you're ready and you know exactly what you're going to do with the card. So anyway, that kind of concludes the tutorial on how to add the clothing to a die-cut Paper Sweeties doll. And again, I used Abigail for the demonstration. My name is Jill Norwood, and I'm a creative designer with Debbie's company, Paper Sweeties. And thank you for taking a look at this video today. I hope you'll thumbs up and subscribe to the Paper Sweeties channel so that you can see future videos. Blessings and hugs, and happy crafting. Bye now.